Hello everyone. In this video, you will learn how to do the complete accounting cycles. You will learn how to create a chart of account, how you can create the journal entries, how you can create the dynamic ledger by clicking on the single click, and you will also learn how to prepare the trial balance. You will also learn how to create an income statement. Moreover, you will also learn how to create the balance sheet. So all the accounting procedures from creating from journal to ledger to trial balance and the financial statements, everything you're gonna learn in this video. So if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, please subscribe now and let's begin the learning of accounting procedures. So let's start with a blank spreadsheet. First of all, we will create a spreadsheet which will call chart of accounts. So every accounts that we are going to use in our journal entries will must be listed in this chart of account sheet, right? So this is the first sheet calls chart of account. Now I will open a second sheet which I will call general entries. General entries. In general entries, I will create my general journal where I will record all my transaction entries. So let's create the journal first. What I will need is a date, uh, description, accounts, debit, credit, comments, if any. So it's an open field, right? So I need a comments, I need a debit and credit. Let me enlarge them. I will need an account. This will be linked from my chart of account. This will be an open description and this gonna be the date, right? Let me convert this into a table. In order to convert this into a table, I will need to select uh, my headings and then I will go on insert. In insert, I will click on table and I will select my table has header here and press OK. So now you can see that this has been changed into a table. Now whatever entry you will be entering here will be go into this table. What are the benefits of the table? The benefits of the table is that we can customize it. We have several features available in the design tab of the table. We can also give a name of the table. So here I'm calling it my table underscore journal. So this is my journal table. Okay. On the chart of account, now I have to define my chart of account. So uh, as you know that there are five main categories of any accounts, right? Which are assets, liabilities, equity, expenses, and revenue, right? We can further divide this revenue into two accounts which are, let me copy it somewhere so you can see at the later stage as well. We can divide this revenue into the revenue and the contra revenue, right? So revenue and contra revenue. Assets can be divided into current assets and fixed assets. So let me do it current assets, fixed assets. Liabilities can be divided further into current liabilities and fixed liabilities, right? Equity will remain the same, expenses will remain the same, revenue and the contra revenue, right? If you are selling something, the sale is revenue. But if you receive your sales back, means if you have a returns in your sale, that's a contra revenue account, right? So I can say that this assets, they are assets, they are liabilities, they are equity, this is expense, and the main heading is, the main category is revenue. So I can switch the columns and I can name that. This is accounts, this is also accounts, this is sub accounts, right? Now here I have to open an individual accounts, right? So individual accounts. So for example, I'm going to make a first entry into my journal. Let's say my transaction is establish a business by ways investing rupees 1 million. So my name is Oasis and I'm going to invest 1 million into my business, right? In cash. This is also important, whether you are investing in cash or you are depositing in the bank or you are investing some kind of materials. So you have to define it, because that's how you're gonna park your assets into the accounts in your company. So establish a business by always investing rupees 1 million in cash, right? And the date is also important, on 1st Jan 2022, right? So on 1st Jan 2022, I'm going to invest 1 million in cash into my business, right? So here I say, so today is 1st Jan 2022, right? And I can give a description that establishing a business. So debit is 1 million, because this is the cash that I'm receiving, right? So my account that will hit the 1 million by debit is a cash. So if you want to give a comment, it's an optional field, you can, it's up to you, right? So 1st Jan 2022, now I have to give a debit impact, because every debit has a credit impact and every credit has a debit impact. So since I have given the debit impact, I have to give the credit impact as well. So 1 million is coming into the equity ways, right? I can repeat the same description, okay? So this account will hit by 1 million in credit and this account will hit by 1 million in debit. But these two accounts must be open in your chart of account, because at the later stage I have to use them into income statement, balance sheet to prepare them, right? So I just copying it at the right now and just inputting here, right? So cash is my current assets, right? So I just copy my current assets. Okay, so this is the accounts, right? Sub accounts. And this is the equity in cash, is the equity account. So I can simply copy and paste here. Okay, so this is my equity account. So before doing any entry into this ledger, you must open this account here, right? So how you can do that, you can simply select this column, the right, the column C. Then you will go on the data sheet, and here you will go on the data validation. On the setting tab, you will select this as a list, and the source you will select it as your individual accounts, right? And you can press OK. So now you can see this has become a drop down, so you can easily select them from your main accounts directly, right? So this will come in your chart of account first, and then it will go in your entries, right? So now we have our journal entry established, chart of account setting established. We can do more entries because in business we do entries on daily basis, and that should be the part of your journal entries because this is the starting point from where your account starts. So before doing further entries, let's format this table further to make it look more good. So let's say I can go on the design of this table, and I have several options available here, right? So I can choose as per my desire. I think this looks good. Okay, so this is the first entry that I have just recorded. Let's say now in my business, okay, I can also comma style them because that's more readability. Because of the more readability, I can just make them a comma style, right? So let's say now my business has a 1 million rupees in cash, right? And I instructed my accountant to go and deposit the half of the money into the bank, right? So we have to debit 5 million by the bank, and we have to debit the 5 lakhs by the bank and credit 5 lakhs by the cash. If I go into accounts, I do have cash but no bank, so I have to go on my chart of account back, right? And here I will say, okay, this is my bank, right? If you have multiple account, you can use like this. Okay, for example, 1122 is my bank account, for example. So I can call it, this is my current assets, right? So current assets. So now I can come back here, and let's say I make an entry here. I make a transaction here that deposit rupees 5 lakh into bank on 2nd Jan, right? So here my debit bank is bank, right? So you can see the table is expanding itself, right? I can say it, okay, deposit into bank on 2nd Jan 2022 by rupees 5 lakh. Similarly, here I will select the cash because that has a credit impact, 5 lakh, and deposit into bank on 2nd Jan, right? If you give a comment, if you would like to give a comment, it's up to you. Let's say Mr. Uzair went in bank to deposit. So just for your information that this when you are doing this transaction, you handed over Mr. Uzair rupees 500,000 to deposit into your bank, right? So this is your second entry that you have just made in your ledger, right? Now what you're going to do, you are doing a sales and purchase business. So if you, so now you have 5 lakh in hand, 5 lakh in bank, and now what you're doing, you went to your vendor and asked him that you want some material, right, on the credit. So here you're saying that purchase inventory of rupees 600, right, 6 lakhs on credit from Mr. Zubair, let's say. So purchasing now 6 lakh of inventories on credit from Mr. Zubair, right? Again, when you come here, you don't have an inventory account. You don't have Mr. Zubair account because now it will be a payable entry and you're purchasing the inventory. So again, come here, right? So you are entering inventory, which is your current assets, and Mr. Zubair, because he is your vendor, so this is your current liability account, right? So you go back to here and you are saying that, okay, I'm going to purchase an inventory of rupees 6 lakh and I am purchasing from Mr. Zubair, so his account will be credited by rupees 6 lakh, right? Purchased inventory, right? Let's say this entry has been done on 3rd of Jan 2022, right? So now you have a liability account established, you have your another current assets account established, right? Now you are doing what? You went to another vendor and purchased the inventory further. This time you are purchasing by paying in cash through your bank, right? So purchased inventory of rupees 2 lakhs by paying through check from Mr. Ahmed, let's say. So now your affecting account is your bank. So you come here, okay, you have your inventory account established, you purchase inventory of rupees 2 lakhs. And here your affecting account is your bank, and you paid rupees 2 lakh through your bank, right? So this is purchased inventory again. So this is you are doing on, let's say, 4th Jan 2022, right? So that's how your ledger is growing, your journal entries are growing, you're recording the daily transaction that you are doing, right? Now let's say uh, this is time to sell, right? So now you have made a sell on cash, right? Sold inventory for rupees 4 lakhs, right? You sold the inventory for rupees 4 lakh on cash on 10th Jan 2022. So here when I come back here, I have an inventory account, but I do not have a sales account, right? And I do have the cash account as well. So I will need one is sales account, and sales is my revenue accounts. And if you understand the accounting, when we do the sales, it is recorded as a credit because revenues are always credit when increases, right? So here you are receiving cash because you're making a sale for rupees 400,000, and against the sales by rupees 400,000. So you have sold the inventory for cash, right? On 10th Jan 2022. But when you do this entry, you will also notice that your inventory is reducing because it is going out from your pocket now because you have already made a sale, right? So inventory must be recorded at the price you have purchased. So that is called cost of goods sold because this is the goods that you have sold. So what is the cost of that? There are two methods of recording them. One is perpetual and another is when you prepare your cost of source schedule at the end of the year, and then you will do the adjusting entries. To make it simple, I'm going to record it right now. I'm going to add two entries for this particular transaction. One is receiving the cash against the sale, right? And another is I will reduce my inventory against the cost of goods sold. So I need to create another individual account which is called cost of goods sold, right? And this is my expense account, right? So I can say that cost of goods sold, for example, the goods that you have sold, the value of that you have purchased was 300,000. So 1 lakh was a profit if you just compare the difference. So let's say you purchased this particular inventory for rupees 300,000. So you just recorded 300,000 and you will reduce your inventory by 300,000. So uh, adjust inventory against COGS, cost of goods sold, right? Same date, 10th of Jan. Great. Now let's say you are selling further, sold inventory for rupees, let's say 300,000 on credit on 15th Jan 2022. So now you are selling the inventory further by rupees 3 lakhs on 15th of Jan. So here again you are receiving cash? No, you're not receiving cash because you are selling on credit. So to whom you are selling? So basically let's say you are selling on credit to uh, Mr. Kazim, let's say on 15th Jan. So here on chart of account, you will make another individual account which we will call Kazim, right? And this is my current assets account because I need to receive the money from this guy. So journal entries, I will record Mr. Kazim for rupees 3 lakh against the sales of rupees 3 lakh, and I will say again the same, sold inventory on credit. So this is the 15th Jan 2022, right? So we are done till here, and now I have to adjust my COGS of the inventory that I have sold to Mr. Kazim. So let's say cost of goods sold, I purchased this inventory, let's say it's 150,000, right? So I can say that cost of goods sold debit and inventory is credited by 150,000. Adjust inventory against COGS 15 Jan and 15 Jan, right? So this is another transaction. So now let's say now you receive an electricity bill, paid electricity bill of rupees 15,000. So again, you are paying now 15,000 your electricity bill. You don't have any electricity account here. So here we will open the account of electricity. And electricity is our expense account, right? So I will come back to my journal entries. Paid electricity bill by rupees 15,000 through bank, right? So we will select the electricity account, rupees 15,000, and here we will choose our bank because we are paying through the bank is 15,000 paid electricity, and this is here we will select 18 Jan 2022, right? Now we are going to pay the salaries. Now I'm not going to enter the narration of every accounts here because I think we have established our understanding enough. So now we are going to pay the salary. So I need to select the salary account. So I don't have it here. So I'll go here and say salary, which is also my expense account. And let's say I'm paying the salary through the cash. So let's say I pay the salary of rupees 100,000 in cash. So here I will also enter 100,000, right? Paid salaries. So let's say this is the end of the month of 30th Jan 2022, right? So if we look from the start till the end, what we have just did, we have established a business. We have deposited the amount in the bank, then we purchased the inventory, we purchased the inventory again, then we sold the entries, we adjust the COGS, then we sold the inventory again on credit, we adjust the COGS, paid the electricity bill, paid the salaries. So let's say now I'm going to pay back the amount to Mr. Zubair, from which I have purchased an inventory of rupees 600,000. I'm going to pay the 50% amount to him. So let's say or I'm going to pay 100,000 to him, let's say. So Mr. Zubair account will be debit. Since I'm paying the cash, so my cash will go out from my pocket, so it will be reduced, and reduce will come into the credit. So 100,000 and 100,000 paid to Mr. Zubair, right? So this is the liability account that we have paid on, let's say, 2nd Feb 2022. And we have also sold our inventory to Mr. Kazim. So now let's say he's paying me through the bank, right? 300,000, or let's say the 50% amount he's paying me back. So in my bank, I will receive 150,000, and this amount is coming from Mr. Kazim. So I will reduce his balance by rupees 150,000. So I will credit his account received from Mr. Kazim, right? So this transaction is done on 15 Feb 2022. Right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to prepare a ledger through this journal entries. What you need to do, you have to put your cursor into this particular table. You will go on insert and create pivot table. When you go on pivot table, it has automatically input the name the table journal, which we have initially assigned the name to this table through the table design tab, right? And I want to create this pivot table into the new worksheet. So I will select the new worksheet and then I will press OK. So you can see a new sheet has opened. I will reorder this sheet into the end and I will call it ledger. And please note, using this I can also prepare a trial balance as well. How I can do that? Please watch all my steps carefully which I'm going to do right in front of you. So on this screen, on the left side, on the right side, you are seeing a pivot table fields, and here you are seeing an area where your pivot table is rest, right? So what I have to do, I have to select I will need the date, right? You can notice that your date is split into Jan and Feb, right? You can ungroup it by right click and click ungroup. So now they have a straight date, right? Now I'm not interested in description. I am interested in accounts, let's say. So I will put my accounts into the rows, right? Okay, you will see your table like this. So what you need to do, you will put your cursor into this table. You will go on the pivot table analyze and the design tab. So you will go on the design tab. Here on the report layout, you will select here and you will click show on tabular form. On subtotal, don't show subtotal, right? And here you can say repeat all the labels, right? So all the dates are repeated, right? So this is now a good scenario now. Then you will put your debit here. It should become as a sum. Then you can right click on the field value field setting, go on number format, numbers, use 1000 as a separator and remove the 00. Press OK, right? So now it's a comma formatted. Now you will take your credit. You will do the same steps, field setting, sum and numbers, and use 1000 separator and 0 decimal and press OK, right? And here you need a difference, debit minus credit balance difference. So what you can do, you can put your mouse here. On the top you will see two tabs which is called pivot table analyze and design. You will go on pivot table analyze. Here you will go on field items and set and create calculated fields. Here you can call it balance, right? And on the balance, the formula, you will say debit minus credit, press add and OK, right? So this is something you will get like this, right? Then you have to do what? You will go on the sum of the balance tab here, value field setting. Again, go on number format, and here you will selected accounting. Here you can say none, press OK and press OK. You can see that every time you're making the changes, the table width that you are setting again and again is going to change. So how you can solve this issue? First set everything, then right click, go on pivot table option and uncheck this auto fit column width on update. So press OK. So right, so now this is the information. By doing that, you can further improve this by going on design tab, and you should give this one, right? I'm liking this one, so I'm selecting this one. So this is my account, this is debit, this is credit, and this is the balance, right? Then I have to do what? I have to go on the design pivot table analyze and click on slicer. On the slicer you will select the accounts and press OK, right? So what you have to do, let's say you want to see the cash ledger, you will click on cash, right? So your cash balance is 700,000, right? So now what you can do, you can also input a description after the account. So right, so this is now a good step, right? So when you select the cash, now it's a perfect setting. So you can see when I select the cash ledger, right, so it says that okay, on the 1st Jan you establish a business, you got 100,000, then you deposit 500,000 into the bank, then you sold the inventory for 400,000, then you paid the salaries for 100,000, and you pay to Mr. Zubair. So now your closing balance, you will always see the bottom lines, your closing balance is 700,000, right? You can further reformat this by, let's say, pressing equal and link it to this one, right? So this will become cash and you can just increase like that. So you always have to select one account at a time. You want to see electricity, inventory, Kazim. Okay, so your bank statement, you can see your bank details, right? So you deposit the amount and everything. So your bank has 435, your inventory has 350 in your accounts, you have paid 100,000 as a salary, you have made a sale of 700,000. Always remember, the credit means revenue, right? If it's a revenue account. Moreover, I can also show here which account it is. Okay, so I can simply add a formula here on the top. Let me add again. So VLOOKUP, I will select this, then I will go on the table array, I will select these two, F and G, and then press 2 and 0 and enter. So basically this is my revenue account. Right, so inventory is a current assets, electricity is an expense, cash is your current assets, right? So you have the category from which this particular one belongs, and everything is established and set accordingly, so you can prepare your ledger accordingly. Now using the same sheet, I am going to use a trial balance. In order to prepare the trial balance, just right click on this and copy this, create a new copy and move to the end, and I'm going to call it trial balance. On the trial balance, we only show the balances. We don't need a debit, we don't need an account description or anything or date. So first I will take out the date, I will take out the description, right? And on the slicer I will defilter them, and on the top I will remove them, and I will just call it trial balance, right? So this is the quickest trial balance you would have ever seen, right? So your balance become always 0. So you can see what's happening accounts by debit and credit as well. So yeah, this is your trial balance. I hope everything is clear so far. We don't need this slicer, we just remove them, right? On the back you are seeing this white grid line, you can go on view and uncheck these grid lines. Same you can do it on the ledger to look it more beautiful, right? General entries, it's up to you if you want, right? So now we have the trial balance ready. By using this trial balance, I am going to create an income statement, a very straightforward income statement, right? So when you have your trial balance ready, I will need a few more information in order to prepare the income statement. I will need this account's information, right? So before we do that further thing, let's set up our income statement format. Just a brief, income statement is a statement on a certain for a certain period of time. We create the income statement where we shows our revenue and expenses only, right? And find what is the profit to us, right? So let's say this is the Excel Doers Limited company. So on the top we always give the company name. Then we says income statement, right? And we always prepare the income statement on a certain time for the period of, let's say, for the period 1st Jan 2022 to 31st March 2022. So let's say this is the income statement for the first quarter of the year, right? What we will need all of our revenue accounts, right? So what I have to do is I have to fetch so I have to do some hidden working here. So let's say I call it VLOOKUP, and I will select this account, comma 0. Then I will select my chart of account, and I will take the sub account FNG column and press comma, then 2, then comma, then 0, then comma, then enter. So this is my current assets, this is my fixed assets, right? So if I look into the accounts like this, where it should go, please remember, let me add one more thing here for your assistance, right? For your assistance, that financial statement assets all go on balance sheet. This is balance sheet, and they go on income statement, right? Expense and revenues goes on income statements. So coming back here, I will again fetch this information by this sub accounts, right? I have this sub account ready here, so I can just apply VLOOKUP on this, press comma, and then I will go here and column C to E, I will freeze them, comma 3, comma 0, enter. So let's say which account will go where. So these two accounts will go income statement, and these two accounts will go on income statements. They are all expenses accounts, right? And this is our revenue account, right? So our income statement always starts with sales, right? It's always start with sales. So how much sales we have done, we can simply take a VLOOKUP on sales, comma, like this. First, set 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, this is the fourth. Now you freeze them, comma 4, comma 0, then close the bracket. Okay, so you see that because it is a credit balance, so I will always receive in a negative. So actually it's not a negative, so because it's a credit entry, that's why we are seeing it in negative. So simply you just do what? You will press the star, which is a multiplication sign in Excel, and do -1 and enter, right? After doing that, it will become a positive number. It will reverse the sign. So you can simply increase, give a comma, separation, and reduce the decimals. So what we have done, we have done a sales of rupees 700,000. Then time comes for cost of goods sold, right? So now we have to do a cost of goods sold. So you can again see, if I go on trial balance, I have a cost of goods sold. You can see it's expense, it will go income statement, right? So this is 450,000 amount, right? And this should be negative because we have to reduce that, right? So all the signs will be flipped in your income statement, right? So I will simply copy the above formula and paste it here, right? And it is giving me not applicable errors. The reason can be the difference of the spelling. So it's a cost of goods sold as sign. So this is my bad, let me correct it. So goods sold, so this is 450,000. So when you reduce the sales from the cost of goods sold, it will give you a gross profit. Okay, this is the standard income statement practice. I can reduce the format to the down, right? And this plus this, it will give you 250,000 as a gross profit. You can further format them, right? You can increase the size, you can add a line here, right? So now we have a cost of goods sold ready, right? Now this time for the operating expenses. Operating expenses, right? We can underline them, right? So we have to list all our operating expenses. So if I go here on my ledger, right, the cost of goods sold is already done, revenue is already done. So I have left with this salary, I am left with this electricity bill, right? So these are two my operating expenses. So salary and electricity, right? So same formula you can copy and paste here, right? You can remove this sign here because we are going to total them, and for then we will reduce them. So we will come a column before here for a presentation purpose. That's how on standard we prepare our income statement when we list down all the expenses, right? So we can put a line here on the top, and we will do the total here, and we will call it total of operating profit, operating expenses, right? So if you sum them, 115,000, right? This is 215,000, right? And from that you will deduct and you will come on operating profit, right? So simply this minus this, enter. So you can do multiply -1 here and simply plus them, okay, for a better presentation. So this becomes your you can add a line here. This is all the formatting settings that you will have to do, right? So how you can do that, you can simply right click, go on hide, and let's say make it 30. 13 is very small, right click hide and make it, let's say 20. Or furthermore, yeah, this looks better, you can centralize them, right? Perfect. So now I have the operating profit ready, right? just blank line, I can reduce the size. Okay, from the operating profit, this is the profit from which we do pay the taxes. So if you know the taxes, so let's say the tax is 15%. 15%. So you can apply a standard 1.15% here, right? So this is your 15% tax into -1, right? And then you can simply copy the above line and paste it here, and you can call it net profit, and you can sum this plus this, right? And this line, in accounting, when you do the closing amount, you just do the double line at the bottom. Go on the view and remove this grid line. So now this is your income statement ready. You can centralize the values, right? You can further reduce them and expand it from here. Right, perfect. So this is a good income statement example, right? If you want to give a border to this, you can give a dark border here, right, like this. On the top, if you left a line, and from the right, if you will left the line, it will give you a good feel of the presentation, right? So this is your income statement ready. You can further hide this column. Not hide it, just reduce the width of it. Okay, perfect. So we just made a perfect income statement, and this entry that we have just made, we have to make this entry into our ledger as well, because all entries must go in the ledger. So taxes is 20,250. So 20,250, 20,250. Okay, so this is the taxes, which is the expenses, already the part of income statement, and this one is payable to government. Payable to the government. This is we just call it government, and this is our liability accounts. So this is my current liabilities. I know this video is getting big longer, but you at the end of this video you will come to know everything that involves how to process the accounting steps, right? So now if I come back here and right click and refresh it, so I have this new blank account open. Let me go and check, because I did not enter here that this is the tax expense and this is payable to the government. Payable taxes to government, right? On, let's say, 30th March 2020. Simply go back here, right click and refresh, so you have two new accounts. You can simply copy and check it here. Okay, so this will the part of current liabilities, and this is already the part of income statement. So we have successfully parked all our expenses into the income statement, right? And this income statement is done. Now this is the time to prepare the balance sheet, right? So after this, you have everything in order and a good accounting steps that we have followed and completed all the procedures, right? So let's say on the top we have Excel Doers Limited again. Excel Doers Limited balance sheet. The balance sheet is not for the period. Balance sheet always created on a particular date. So if I'm preparing today, so it shows the position on certain date. So we will not say for the period, we will say as on 30th March 2022. So on this particular date, I am going to prepare balance sheet. So I just merge them, right? So I will bold them, increase them, make a good formatting of it. It's very important for the presentation purpose. right? So Excel towards balance sheet. Okay, so balance sheet has two parts, divided into two equal parts. In order to prepare the balance sheet, always remember this equation: assets are equals to liabilities plus equity. So assets has two parts, one is assets and another is liabilities and equities, right? So we have to divide our balance sheet into two sections, assets and liabilities, left to right. Okay, so let's count how many cells they are: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So let's add another column, 10, right? Okay, so we can 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so this 5 cells I can add a border here, and this 5 cell I can add a border here, right? So I just divided my balance sheet into two parts. Here I am going to list all my assets. In here I am going to list all my liabilities plus liabilities and equities, right? As a standard practice, okay, so I will increase the size of it, right? As a standard practice, we always list fixed assets first, right? Fixed assets. So if I go on my trial balance, so my fixed assets are nothing. There are no fixed assets. Uh, in order to understand our concept, let's create a fixed assets. So let's say I'm going to purchase a shop, uh, and this is my fixed assets, right? And I will make an entry here, right? I will add a two line here because I will do at the middle of the period. So let's say on 10th Feb purchased a shop. The shop is a fixed assets. So I purchase a shop. It will not affect our income statement because this is asset to asset transaction. There has nothing to do with the income statement. So don't worry what we have done in income statement, right? So let's say I purchase a shop for 100,000 against the cash, right? So this is the cash purchased a shop on 10th Feb 2023. Sorry, 2022. So go on trial balance, right click and refresh. You have a new account open which is called shop. Your cash balance is reduced by 100,000. So let's say copy and flow. So this will go on balance sheet and this is your fixed assets, right? So this is the first account that I will take into the balance sheet, right? Shop. Just correct them. Okay, let me write again so you guys see again. So we look up, I'm selecting the shop, comma, my table is this one, right? 1 2 3 4, fourth column, I will freeze that, comma 4 comma 0, close the bracket, enter. So here I have my shop, right? Then I will do what, excuse me, I will go on to trial balance and check again, is there any other fixed asset account? No fixed assets account, right? So simply 100,000. So total of fixed assets. So this is basically sum of this, right? So as simple as that. We can increase some size of it. We can bold this because this is the total values, right? And we can put a line on the top, right? So this is the total of fixed assets. Now I'm going to add a current assets, right? For the current assets, same formatting. Now we go in trial balance and see if there are any current assets. So okay, they are all my current assets, right? This one is done. Let me color it. Okay, so here I have these two. Let me copy them and add it here. If I go back on the trial balance again, these are also my current assets, so I will copy them. I will put them here. Similarly, I will go back and see is there any else current assets. So no current assets, so they are also done, right? So coming back here, I will repeat the same formula again here. So all the balances are now here, and this one I can copy and paste here and update this formula sum and select all of them. So this is the total of my current assets, right? So now I will total them. So total of assets are this plus this, right? You can take the formatting of the same and always do the double lining. Always do the double lining when you are doing the final total, right? So this is the total assets by summing these two, right? When we will prepare this side, remember our equation asset is equal to liabilities plus equity. When we'll enter our liabilities and equities here, the answer will exactly come as 1635. If the answer is not coming the same, that means you have not prepared your accounts correctly, you have not prepared your financial statements correctly. So let's see, let's start with the liabilities, right? Fixed liabilities, right? Let me add a line here and let's call it liabilities, right? So first I'm going to enter a liability. In a liability, I will enter a fixed liability, right? We can also give some indentation here. That is more beautiful, right? The indentation will put everything within the assets, right? So same thing here, I can add two indentation, right? So liabilities and equities. So liabilities, fixed assets, fixed liabilities. So if I go on my, okay, so if I go into my trial balance and see is there any fixed liabilities. So fixed liabilities are usually long-term loans and these kind of stuff. So there is no fixed liabilities. So we can just put a 0 here, right? Put a 0, it will become dash, right? Then we have current liabilities, right? On the current liability tab, if I go into my trial balance again, so I have two current liabilities. So one is Mr. Zubair. So I will paste Mr. Zubair name here, and another one is government, right? So I will type government here. I will take the formula. Okay, let me fix them. This one is the column, right? So again the liabilities will become as a negative, so you can input a -1 here. So this is your total of liabilities. You can copy this from here and you can call it total of current liabilities, which is the sum of these two, right? Let's correct the formatting. Like this. So total of liabilities, current liabilities. Now we will, Now we will do what? We will do total of liabilities. Total of liabilities. I will bring my indentation one step back. So the total of liabilities are also the same as the current liabilities because there is no fixed liabilities. Now we will do what? We will add one step back equity, right? You can bring your total to the end because both total will come at the one line. Okay, so if I go on my trial balance again, this one is also done. I have only left with equity account, which is the equity always, right? So if I go and copy it and bring it to my balance sheet and input here, right? So, and if I copy here, I have to expand this column a little bit. So 1 million is my initial investment, right? Please note that this profit, the profit that you have made, is will go in your pocket, and your pocket is the equity, right? You have just found that you have made a profit of 114750, right? So this should go in your pocket, so you will say retain earning. So if you withdraw this amount, right, then we call it as a dividend. But since you are keeping this money in your business, because this amount is the additional money that you have made from your investment initially, so this is your net profit. So this point is important. You will connect this with your net profit. This is the earning that you are still retaining in your income. This is the profit that you have made. So the total of equity, so the total, excuse me, the total of equity, total of equity will be this, right? So here when I will sum this and this, the answer should be this. So I will call it total of liabilities plus equity. Okay, one and then back, this plus this, the answer is coming exactly same as this, right? So that means we have prepared our balance sheet perfectly. So you can go on the view, remove the grid lines, right? Now you can do the settings if you want, but try to keep both the column at the same size so they looks equally distributed. This two, you can expand them, right? So this is a great example of preparing the assets and liabilities and equities and balance sheet, income statement, trial balance, everything on a single stream. That your balance sheet has successfully prepared, everything is linked, right? So if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, please subscribe now, so you keep getting more informative video like this.